Observation 2 with Principal Justin Grimes, our site supervisor, talking about student discipline, school safety, and school crisis management. Mr. Grimes, last time we met, we discussed improving school culture. A large part of this is maintaining constant disciplinary policies. How much of the student discipline did you change when you came to Huntsville High School, and why did you make those changes?
I don't know that I could say that I made changes so much as I implemented a consistent framework. And what I mean when I say that is the position that I was most recently in as an assistant principal in a different district is we had a discipline matrix that was universal, and it was universal for secondary, and there was also a matrix for the elementary. And all of the administrators across all of our secondary campuses had access to the same matrix, and it was broken down to where it had the local codes, it had the state codes, and it also gave you a basic guideline as to what your steps should be if it is a student who receives special education services. If it's incident 1, if it's incident 2, if it's incident 3, and it also gave you the state code. So it was a very user-friendly framework, but the thing that it did is it allowed a consistency across admin team members on the same campus, but it also allowed a consistency from campus to campus in case there was ever any movement. So I don't know that I changed anything as I came in and I brought a matrix that allowed our admin team, at least at this campus, to be on the same page, because that was not in play, it was not existent. And then just, I think, communicating expectations and providing training to our staff members on classroom management and expectations, so that as a classroom, teachers understand what the expectations are and what the hierarchy is in terms of what is a minor, what is a major, what is a referral, what is not, those sorts of things. So really just probably implementing consistent policies and framework more than changing anything.
Okay. So how important is it, because I know this is something that's much different than it was before you got here, because I was on campus before you. How important is it that each of your assistant principals follows that same consistency, or follows the same consistency as you do? And how do you ensure that that happens?
Once again, going back to how do I ensure that it happens, to that framework, and then being intentional with my conversations with our administrative team, create those meetings to where we are, first of all, I am presenting the matrix to them, and then I'm walking them through it so they understand. And then I also try to pair up our assistant principals. I'm strategic in how I place them in offices, so that I always have a veteran or experienced AP with a new AP, so that there's always that level of somebody to provide that mentor support, if you will. But why is it important to me for APs to be consistent? Well, mainly because several layers to the answer. Number one, we got to be consistent on our state coding. I've uncovered lots of coding issues that we're having to answer for. So coding issues that existed before I got here, but yet I'm having to answer for those, and I'm to a degree being held accountable for some of those coding errors. So I've got to make sure our coding is correct and consistent, and a lot of that stems from, like I said, having that matrix in place and everybody being on the same page. The other reason it's important is because even though I have our administrators on an alpha split, they know what my philosophy is. That doesn't mean you only work with those kids. If somebody comes to your office and it's not in your alpha, you take care of kids and you take care of our campus. And if that means you've got to manage a discipline issue with somebody that's outside of your alpha, you do it. And you do what needs to be done. And if we're all on a consistent framework, then previous discipline may have already existed by another AP, but yet this other AP intervenes now with this kid, but everything still should look the same as we're managing that student and that parent.
Okay, thank you very much. So moving on to school safety. In the past 2 years, you've done many things to maintain the safety of our building. With all the tasks that you have to do on a daily basis, from instruction, discipline, those kind of things, how do you remember as a principal to stay focused on campus safety?
I don't have to really remember that because it is absolutely in the forefront of my brain. As an assistant principal, it was important to me, but it probably didn't keep me up at night like my mentor principal did, and now I understand what he was talking about. Now that I'm in that chair, it is constantly in the forefront of my brain, school safety, because at any point of any day, anything can happen. And as a high school principal, that's just something that keeps us up at night. As any principal, as any building principal, it's something I think that keeps us all up at night, of just having that responsibility to bear, of knowing that you're responsible for the safety of your campus. So in order to help me sleep better at night, it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm diligent in making sure that processes are in place, training and understanding of expectations are in place, so that it's not just me having to worry about our campus safety. Everybody in this building plays a part. They understand their role, and we have proactive scenarios and proactive strategies in place and systems in place, such as something simple like wearing your ID. Something as simple as making sure that if you're going to leave a classroom, you have to have a pass. Those are things that are easy to do, but I can't do that by myself. But if everybody in this building is on the same page and a kid's not leaving a room without a pass, or kids are wearing their IDs, then those are things that now as a campus we are managing little things, so the big things, we can at least hopefully see the big things coming before they hit us, if that makes sense. It's all about just putting those systems in place, putting those proactive strategies in place to manage all the little things before they turn big.
Awesome. And then we move on to school crisis management. What campus personnel do you involve in dealing with crisis management?
So we have a crisis emergency response team, and that is consistent of, we've got a broad spectrum, obviously our nurse, we have counselors on the team, we have administrators on the team, we have teachers on the team, we have coaches on the team, we have our athletic trainer on the team. So having a broad spectrum so that we can ensure that we have a certified emergency response team member kind of strategically spread out through different parts of the building, and also in different forms of contact of the building. So we've got instructional, we've got counseling, we've got athletics, so different parts of the building. If something were to, an emergency were to occur, we should have a certified member in that area that can respond. Obviously the admin team is involved in that, involve our campus SROs in all of my planning and conversation, and also I ask them to provide us training as well, that they can, like for example, they do our active shooter training, our active shooter presentations. They're the experts on that, so therefore get them involved, and that way they can provide their level of training and support, but also be in the know if a true emergency was to occur. It's all about everybody understanding what my role is and what I'm supposed to do, and just making sure everybody has the training they need, communication, and know where our AED devices are located, know who to contact, know what the chain of command is. If we have to call an ambulance, what's the protocol, who needs to be contacted, and then once an ambulance is called, now what are we doing?
Okay.
Who's directing traffic, making sure the ambulance knows where to go, who's managing conversation down the hill. So just making sure we have plans in place for all that. And then we also, of course, have our campus emergency notebook that all teachers have, and it's very user-friendly and scripted. It's what is the emergency? You go to that tab, you open it up, and then we have the procedures clearly written out, so nobody's guessing or what do I do. It's scripted out for you.
Okay. So last question. Many of the students on our campus come from bad homes and sometimes no homes at all. And many of our students either suffer from mental and or physical issues. What crisis management pieces do we have in place that can assist these students?
First and foremost, just having knowledge of what their whatever their parameters may be, whatever their qualifying condition may be, whatever their some of them may have safety plans in place. Just being knowledgeable of what those safety plans are, so that we can then manage and put them in the most successful situation. And also, everybody that comes in contact or potentially could come in contact with that student is educated and trained as to what to look for, what to help prevent, what to make sure they don't, like for example, if it's a, can't have access to technology, then the teachers of that student need to know that. If it's, recognize certain signs and symptoms, if they have a cool-off period, just making sure that they understand how to respond to those students in their times of need. I know we have some students on our campus that have severe anaphylaxis needs, and so if they were to have a severe go into anaphylactic shock, we've got people who are trained on how to use the EpiPens or how to access, where is the EpiPen located. So just making sure that first and foremost, we are knowledgeable of those students and what their issues are, and then everybody that comes in contact with those students, they are trained and know what the protocol is if an emergency was to occur.
All right, well, that's all I have today. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.